Hi, and thank you for watching Missouri Viewpoints, the program dedicated to the civil and informed discussion of the political, social, and economic issues that affect us all. I'm Mike Ferguson, and we're coming to you from the Hard Bean Cafe in downtown Grandview. Today, I'm joined by Brent Toellner. Brent is the legislative chair of the Kansas City Dog Advocates. Brent, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, let's just, for those who don't know, who are the Kansas City Dog Advocates, and what's the purpose of the organization?
Kansas City Dog Advocates is a group that was formed about 2 years ago now, and our primary goal is to just make Kansas City a more friendly city for dogs and for dog owners. So we work on legislative issues with city councils primarily that revolve around tethering, dog parks, dangerous dog laws, in particular against breed-specific legislation, mandatory spay and neuter policies, and overly restrictive pet limit laws.
Okay, now one of the issues you just dealt with is the first one I was going to ask you about, and that is the breed-specific legislation. A lot of communities across the state, some of them right here. Matter of fact, Grandview, where we are right now, has legislation that bans particular breeds of dogs like pit bulls. Your group opposes these laws?
Correct.
Why?
Basically, they've not been proven anywhere to be effective in terms of improving public safety, and they are restricting owners who are very good owners of these dogs. In all cases where you have aggressive dog issues, you end up with an owner that's at fault for one reason or the other, whether it's lack of training, lack of socialization, and those owners are the people you have to get to if you want to have effective laws. Just looking at a breed of dog is not going to change that. And you know, at one point in the 70s, you know, people were really concerned about German Shepherds and Doberman Pinschers, and then, you know, in the 80s it was a Rottweiler, and now it's pit bull type dogs that most people are more concerned about. It's just an evolutionary process, and unless you get to the root cause, you won't be able to have an effective law.
Okay, now supporters of the laws, just one of the points that you made, say, hey, even if it is the fault of an irresponsible dog owner, and I think a lot of people agree that that's usually the fault, it doesn't change the fact that the dog's attacked. Now, and that's why they want the breed-specific laws to be in place. Now, how do you protect both the public and the dog owner's rights at the same time?
Well, first of all, you don't go into criminalizing non-criminal behavior. So if you have a dog that's completely fine, you don't criminalize that activity. You go in, and if the dog attacks, you have very harsh penalties for people whose dogs do attack. You know, make it as if it's an assault charge on the person who owns the dog. This will encourage people to do a better job training their dogs. Offer better programs and opportunities for people to learn about training their dogs, and you know, just really focus on the training of the dogs, the behavior of the dogs, and the owners creating those behaviors.
Okay, now we tend to hear about dog attacks on a fairly semi-regular basis in the news. It's a sensational story when it does happen. Government and other things all put together, what do communities need to do to reduce these attacks or even eliminate them from happening?
In terms of reducing the number of attacks, primarily you would want, again, it comes down to an education piece and really educating the general public on what the type of things to do. Let me give you a good example. There was actually a fatality attack in Minneapolis this week of a dog that was chained up in its basement. I don't know, they called it a family pet, but it was chained up in its basement. I don't know who really keeps a pet that way. And then the dog had shown aggression before, and a child went down to play with the dog and was bitten in the throat and died. And you know, when you look at the scenario, the breed of the dog is completely irrelevant in the case of this story. And the dog did happen to be a pit bull type dog, but the way the dog was kept and not socialized with the rest of the family, and then had a history of aggression that wasn't ever worked with and allowed to be around a young child, those are the types of things that if you really focus on the root cause, and I think this is one of the things that breed-specific legislation has not done, is focus on the root cause. People want to focus on the breed of dog instead of what actually caused the attack and caused the behavior.
Okay, now just another recent story that current ongoing story we're going to touch on is the controversy surrounding Atlanta Falcons quarterback Michael Vick and his alleged role in the organized dogfighting case. a lot of people were surprised to know that dogfighting still goes on in the country. Is this a problem of any degree, or is this just something the media is blowing out of proportion?
You know, it's a problem. It's in the Kansas City area particularly, it's not as big of a problem from an organized ring standpoint as it might be in other parts of the country. In Kansas City, it would be more of a small scale, street level type of dogfighting. So it's not on the grand scale that you'd hear about in the Mike Vick case, although that is out there and that is indeed a problem and something that we need to work toward addressing those types of activities.
Okay, now another effort, switching gears here, that your organization is behind is the promotion of public dog parks, where people can bring their pets, let them run around without a leash, and I guess play with other dogs in an enclosed area. Why is it that your organization feels that communities should, spend the money and set up these places?
Well, when you look at, in the 1980s, when people just let their dogs roam free through neighborhoods and whatnot, most of those dogs, and there are very few dog aggression issues because the dogs were allowed to play with other dogs. They were allowed to socialize themselves with other dogs, with other people. And one of the after effects of a lot of the tethering laws, which I'm definitely in favor of, is that the dogs aren't getting as well socialized. And so this gives an opportunity for dogs to be better socialized. And when you look at dog owners, which make up about 43% of the people in the metropolitan area, versus people who ride bikes and people who play tennis and all of the other things that we build amenities for in our parks. Dogs are a very important part of people's lives. It's very important for the dogs to get the socialization so that they don't have aggression issues. And it's also important for the people to have this place to take their dogs. And so everybody wins in that situation.
Okay, now let me just kind of play devil's advocate here. My kids and I don't have any pets right now.
Right.
I won't have any anytime soon. Why should I care about public dog parks or breed-specific laws or any other issue surrounding the regulation of dogs when I don't have any dogs?
Well, from a dog park issue, I don't have kids, but I certainly respect the right for your kids to have playground equipment, to go play on. And, it's an amenity for me to have it in a dog park, and it's an amenity for you to have playground equipment for your kids. In terms of the breed-specific laws, it kind of comes down to a basic constitutional right for people to own properties and to own the type of dogs that they want to own. And when you start allowing little by little for the government to take on some of these rights and take them away from you, then all of a sudden everybody can be exposed to this type of legislation in one way or the other. So maybe it's not what type of dog do you have, but maybe it's what type of home you can live in. Those types of things that, from a property standpoint, we're protected from the Constitution, and we should all stand up and fight for that.
Okay, we've got about 30 seconds left. The Kansas City Dog Advocates is hosting a conference up soon. Tell me about that real quick.
September 15th and 16th, we're bringing experts in around the country, from Florida to New York, to Calgary to Denver, Colorado, bringing in experts on all the different issues that we deal with on a legislative basis. It's down at the Weston Crown Center. You can find it all on our website at kcdogadvocates.org. Check it out and come on down for the conference because it'll be some definite experts speaking on this.
Great. Brent, thank you for being here in Grandview, and thank you for being on the show. Of course, I do want to thank the Hard Bean Cafe for providing us a location for this program. So when you come to Grandview, come down to the Hard Bean Cafe, try the vanilla latte. It's really good. Thanks for watching. We'll see you here next week.